Hey there, welcome to MagnetiK Mumma, the podcast where we parent with nervous system wisdom, soul-led grit, and zero shame. I'm Steph, a holistic nurse, writer, and a mum who is keeping it real in the chaos. I'm giving you permission to raise resilient kids without losing yourself, because when you thrive, your kids can too. So let's get into the messy middle and find our magic.
Hey there, this is Steph, MagnetiK Mumma. If you have ever stood in your kitchen at 6 p.m, the dog is barking and wiping its butt on your brand new carpet, the pasta's boiling, and one kid's crying because the cheese you bought is the wrong cheese, and thought to yourself, is this it? Is this what I've been striving for? Then this is the episode for you, because sometimes it's not that we've lost ourselves, it's that we've been drowned out by the noise of life, the kids, the partner, the deadlines, the endless everythings. We don't stop being us, we just get buried under the to-do list and that version of adulthood of who we thought we were meant to be. But every now and then, something shakes loose a little dust and reminds us of who we were before the world told us who to be. And for me, that trigger was a tambourine. So picture this. Small country town, little club, and the whole town's out. My family have dressed me up in my fanciest clothes. I'm like 3 or 4, so early 80s, good old 80s. And there's a band playing at the club. I'm looking cutie patootie with my white little blonde bob at 3 years old. And Mum's put me in my best clothes, and all the family are heading down to the club for dinner and the band. So I'm thinking I feel pretty good, and somehow this little cutie patootie ends up on stage with a tambourine. And for, I want to say, a good 5 minutes, I was up on that stage living my best life, pure rhythm, pure joy. Slapping that thing on my hand, the crowd is clapping, all my aunties are laughing, grandma and granddad, grandma and grandfather, everyone's there, and like I'm doing my thing, my hips are wobbling around, and I am just in my element. But then someone says that's enough. And little cutie patootie doesn't want to get off the stage because she's having the time of her life. And the tantrum happens. Full body toddler protest, and my poor dad, he's a young dad, probably so embarrassed by this scene because all his mates would have been around and his daughter's up on stage and everyone thinks she's gorgeous, and then he asks her to get down and she doesn't want to. So poor thing. Anyway, tantrum, off the stage, sit down and be quiet. And the band plays on, but without me. And I think at this time, I just feel terrible that my dad's upset. But, I'm 3, so I probably don't really care. I'm probably more upset that I got taken off the stage. But I do think it was something that stored in my brain as an unspoken rule that, too much light makes people uncomfortable. So, first lesson. Fast forward a few years later, and again, small country town. I'm living my best life in the little local dance school, and they have their end of year performance. And mind you, I'm there with all my favourite people, my sister and my cousins, and they were my big cousins who I adored and looked up to. And off we trot for the end of year concert. And so everybody's there again, my grandparents, all my aunties and uncles, and it's my first real performance. And the song the dance teacher chose, and for anyone who was there, you will remember this costume, I tell you. It was, for 5-year-olds, the itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, and we were literally wearing a teeny tiny yellow polka dot bikini. Anyway, it was fabulous. I loved it. My cousins were there and doing the big girls jazz with their top hats, high kicks, lipstick, and, sequins all over. And I remember being backstage as a little person and just feeling that glorious chaos with the mums with the bobby pins in their mouth, someone crying because their sequins fell off, and the air thick with hairspray and nerves. And I remember when the curtain lifted, and this is so silly because I've never actually really talked about this in this way, definitely not with an audience, but I felt alive. Like every cell in my body was alight, and it was scary, but it was also electric. And the fact that my family were clapping for me, and mum's in the side wings giving me a wave, and my aunties are there too. And I could even imagine Dad pretending not to smile. Like, we were pretty cute. My little sister was on stage too, and my cousin. Like, they probably had a few beers in that thing to get them through. But anyway, they would have, had a little glimmer of, oh, how cute, living my best life, loving the limelight. And my third sister was born. Money got tight, Mum was exhausted, so the dance classes became one of those things we just couldn't afford, and the lights went out. And I moved to netball, which I absolutely love. My teams, the energy, the belonging. But I have to admit, there was this little gap that didn't quite touch my soul in the same way. And it was kind of like swapping poetry for a spreadsheet. And if anyone knows me, I love, love, love poetry. And I'm terrible at a spreadsheet, and I never follow it. I can't fill it in. Give me poetry any day. And to top it off with my social, emotional, cultural conditioning, I was a young person with a big birthmark on my leg. And, no one ever said it, but with this big, no one ever, well, kids did say it in the playground. But, I always had a very supportive family and beautiful teachers. But I was clever enough to work out that the perfection era I didn't quite reach that standard with the body that I had, or the face. And so I self-decided at a young age that I wasn't stage worthy. So I shrank before anyone could reject me, and I learned to be capable instead of captivating. Interesting difference. Anyway, so let's be honest. It's something that women do as a whole. We learn to get good at being very capable. Well, try to be capable. It doesn't always work, but in my way. So, different party, different stage. And about 40 years later, and just recently, to be frank, I was at a friend's party. They had a band playing, and I was just newly met friends who loved to dance. And so I was buzzing with excitement. And this band, this is not a lie, this band handed a tambourine out to the crowd. And that little old tambourine made its way into these jazz hands. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. And I was banging that tambourine and like dancing with all my new friends and just having the time of life. I tambourine so hard. Like I've still got the bruise on my hand about 3 weeks later. It was so much fun. And I just felt like something was waking up in me. It was a very bizarre feeling. The next morning, I could still feel this bruise on my hand, and I was like, oh my God, that's right, I had a tambourine in my hand. And, it just flooded me with this kind of realization that this joy that I get from being in the spotlight is not about performing. It's about that permission to be loud again. Not that I was loud, but that permission to take up space and that permission to feel alive, like feel that joy, that innocence. And so here's the nurse in me, because I just love a bit of nerdy talk and biology. When we move rhythmically, dance, sway, breathe, we activate our vagus nerve, and that's the body's built-in switch to calm. And we've talked about this before, so I know you guys know what the vagus nerve is. And it slows the heart, it lowers the stress hormones, and it tells your brain, if it's calm and regulated, that you're safe. It's why toddlers spin. It's why drumming circles exist. It's why dancing in your kitchen can reset your whole mood. And so neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, my fave, says that rhythm helps anchor dopamine and serotonin. And Dr. Gabor Mate, another fave, reminds us that when we suppress our truth, the body keeps the score. There's also that book, The Body Keeps the Score. So that explores that deeper. So science and soul are finally kind of meeting somewhere and giving language to us that helps us understand why it feels cracking to have a bruise on my hand from tambourining and just having a good old boogie, and becoming more and more aware of this as I find my people who love to dance, shaking it out, like Taylor Swift is like her song, shake it off. Just shaking it off really is a cure to changing your mood. So I'm curious to know, or encourage you to think back, when was the last time you felt completely alive, like a proper tingling body joy, like don't care who's looking, don't care who's around. Oh, this feels so good. Maybe it was on a dance floor, a surfboard. Maybe it was this time you were sitting around laughing so hard your belly hurts, a quiet sunrise, or a conversation that lit you up. Like, that is your breadcrumb. And I encourage you, if you were anything like me and feeling like I'd forgotten who I am, tuning back into my authenticity, looking to find tools to reclaim my time and energy, but still hold way more than enough space for my family, my friends, my community, my networks. Then like these little tidbits are like the breadcrumbs, and I encourage anyone to follow them, because as your body remembers, it's like leading you home to your innocent, authentic self that you were like born as. And as we've gone through life, like we've learnt to sort of either dim our light so that we don't have these negative experiences, attract the wrong attention, blah, 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 all the things, and reconnect with that internal light that you were born with, and know that that's kind of like the authentic self trying to reconnect with you. So particularly in midlife, like for me, 45 it's kind of like puberty 2.0, right? But with a mortgage and overheads and kids and dogs and cats and, a big garden that needs looking after. And it's the hormone remixing. 1 minute you're crying over, I want to say spilt milk because that happens. And then the next you're Googling how to disappear to Italy without faking your death. But here's the miracle inside the madness. Your brain is upgrading, right? You're literally pruning old wiring that no longer serves you in this time and place and strengthening what matters. So you start asking, is this it? It's not a crisis. That's curiosity. And that's helping you gain clarity. And you're not falling apart, which I kind of thought I was for a while. I really thought, God, I'm losing it. Everything's bad. I'm failing. I'm the worst mum. I didn't get my career on track. But actually, I know I'm upgrading because none of that is really that bad. And it's a great honor to have 2 young people in my life and live the way that I do. So I'm actually upgrading. And the tambourine was a really beautiful symbol to remind me of that. And Dr. Huberman would say your neural pathways are reorganizing for efficiency. Booyah! I love efficiency. Dr. Gabor Mate would say your body's tired of performing of who you think you should be. Oh yeah. And Brené Brown, she's just reminding us that courage of midlife to stop pretending and start becoming whole isn't brokenness. It's rebooting. So if you're a mum or a parent who feels like the family Wi-Fi router and everyone's connected through you, but you're running on 2 bars, take a breath. You don't have to choose between their needs and yours. When you regulate your nervous system, you regulate the household. You don't need to yell, calm down, when your body is already modeling calm. So true, right? If you're calm, the vibration, the energy, the people around you calm down. So true. Energy sets the tempo. Tambourine tempo. Self-care isn't a luxury. It's actually leadership. And call out to our school principal, local school principal. She is the prime example of authentic leadership. If anyone doesn't know her, I'll put some links into it. In fabulous podcast to listen to about female leadership, nurturing young people, helping them reach their potential. Phenomenal. And just going back to rhythm and finding your internal rhythm again, just want to remind you that First Nation cultures, Indigenous mob, they have known this forever, like Australian history, 40,000 plus. Songlines map connection between people, country, and story. And when you sing your song, dance your song, you locate yourself again. Oh, why don't we have that in non-Indigenous communities? But anyway, the elders call it dadari. It's the art of deep listening to the stillness until, calming your vagus nerve, you can hear your own heartbeat beneath the noise. That's what this season of life asks us, to tune out to the chaos long enough to catch our own frequency. Oh, I love the tambourine. Thank you. When I picked up that tambourine again, I wasn't performing. I was remembering my own songlines, my own rhythm, my own place. So here's the good news. You don't need a wellness sabbatical in the Himalayas or an escape to Italy, even though those things would be really nice. You do need micro moments of truth. Dance while you cook. Sing while you're in the car. Write 3 messy sentences that, you don't judge your own writing before you go to sleep. Wear bold earrings. Say no without an essay. Every small act of authenticity tells your brain this version of me is safe to exist exactly as I am. And repeat it enough that safety becomes confidence, confidence becomes joy, and joy becomes your baseline forever, or until you need to re-regulate and upgrade to the next season of life. Up to you. So, take a slow, deep breath, the most simple thing to regulate your nervous system that doesn't cost you any money and only takes your mental willingness to slow down, recognize, and just do it, and let your shoulders drop and just start to tune into your body and notice the hum of your heartbeat in your chest and tune into it. That's your rhythm. That's your rhythm. Only yours, for you. And she never left. She's just been keeping the beat while you handled everything else. Sound familiar? Now let the rhythm lead. That's not losing control. That's tuning in and vibing with your flow. And I'm being a bit facetious, but in all honesty, it's tuning in and listening to your own rhythm and being unapologetic about it. So if you ever just screamed, I need 5 minutes to myself, or hide in the toilet and shut the door and hope no one will talk to you, even though they still do talk to you through the door, and spent those 5 minutes scrolling Pinterest, oh my God, my favorite, for lunchbox ideas that you'll never make. Oh, I do sometimes. Please know that you're my people. We are hilariously in our own chaos, blessedly. And laughter, just like rhythm, resets the nervous system. So let yourself laugh more, dance more, feel more. It's the medicine. You don't have to claim on Medicare. It's free. You don't have to book an appointment, drive there, get a car park, tell everyone your sad story. No, you can just dance, breathe, and laugh at yourself. And as a nurse, what I've seen, what happens to people when they lose touch with themselves, when they're overgiving and exhausted, it becomes their lifestyle. Their body eventually whispers, enough, usually through some form of sickness, requiring surgery, medication, anxiety, fatigue, insomnia, inflammation. Oh my God, so much inflammation everywhere, people. All those messages are saying, hello, remember the rhythm, remember your joy, remember who you are, who you're born with light in this world. And as a mum, I've seen what happens when we do come home to ourselves. The house softens, the kids mirror our calm, our partners sometimes breathe a bit easier. Regulation is contagious. Now that's true. Healing is too. So beautiful, people. Thank you for listening to this tambourine moment that helped me remember my authentic self that I vulnerably shared. And I'm working with to embody my authenticity. And if you haven't heard yourself for a while, I encourage you just to have a little listen, take some deep breaths and tune into your heartbeat and feel your rhythm again. because you haven't lost yourself. You've just been on mute while everybody else is demanding everything of you. So you're not behind, you're just upgrading. This chapter isn't about reinventing who you are. It's about remembering the rhythm beneath it all, the one that's been waiting under the laundry, the inbox, and the invisible load of love and logistics. So pick up your metaphorical tambourine, or a real one if you've got one. I'll be getting one. And shake it like you mean it. Because let me remind you that you were never lost. You were just waiting to be heard again. And maybe this time you'll get to stay on the stage. So if this episode stirred anything in you or feels like something you're like, oh yeah, that whisper that says, I'm ready to feel steady, alive and regulated again, then keep an ear out for my new program, the MagnetiK Mumma Nervous Reset for Parents is coming soon. I'll pop it in the show notes when I've finished it eventually. It's all homemade, so, I put a lot of love and energy and time into finding things that are helpful for regulating your nervous system in a way that doesn't cost you too much money, prevents any need for psychologists, mental health people, but also if you do need those are totally fine too. But this is the before step. This is the let's get on top of this now so that hopefully we don't need those things down the future. Nothing wrong with them. People, our mental health people are phenomenal. Our healthcare system is very supportive, but there are things that we can do to not get to the point where we need to use it or overuse it. And I just hope that it is a tool that you can pick up at any time in any place and remember who you are as you are and unconditionally love that, because there's no one else in this world that is exactly like you. And embrace that snowflake and and embody it as best you can. Looking to find your own rhythm is a good start. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to MagnetiK Mumma. Remember, your calm is contagious. Breathe deep, soften your shoulders, and keep loving through the messy middle. I'm Steph, your MagnetiK Mumma. See you next time.